Prior to my time at Sol, I actually was a manager with Sapphirus, so I am at least partly responsible, for better or for worse, for what the tool is, but probably a good person to kind of guide you through it and show you what it can do.
Thanks, Carl.
Hi, I'm Kieran Kennedy. I am with Digsaw here in Philadelphia. I'm going to be presenting on Cove Tool, which is a relatively new tool kind of to this group of environmental tools. It is completely online based, so I'm excited to be presenting about that. A little bit more about me. I have a master's in environmental building design and also worked for the Center for Environmental Building and Design at Penn. So I'm coming in with a little bit of experience from that background.
Great. Dan?
Hi, I'm Dan Stein, Director of Design Technology at Lake Flato here in San Antonio, Texas. I am a Wisconsin registered architect. I teach graduate architecture students at NDSU. I've written 14 textbooks and active blogger on my blog, BIM chapters, and I also write posts for Enscape's blog on their website, and I've presented internationally. Lake Flato is the #1 ranked US firm according to Architect Magazine's 2019 Architect 50 list, and we've won 13 AIA Coat Top 10 awards, 2 this year, one for the Austin Central Library and the University of Southern Mississippi Marine Education Center in Ocean Springs, Mississippi, and we're currently working on a University of Pennsylvania project.
And Blanca?
Hello, I'm Blanca C. Escuch, and I'm with HOK. I'm part of the sustainability team. Within the sustainability team, we've got experts that do more compliance for LEED and WELL, and then we have people that are more based into building performance, and I'm part of that tiny group of building performance. HOK is an international architecture and engineering firm, and I've been with them for 5 years now. I myself, I'm an architect, and then I did a master's in energy environment at the GSD. So I started with HOK in their London office, moved to the San Francisco office, and now I'm based in their New York office. So I've been traveling and working with them nationally and internationally, and a bit all over the place. And now I'm happy to be back in the East Coast. So hopefully we'll get to collaborate. And I'll be presenting Climate Studio. It's a fairly new tool by Solema, and they actually launched back in February to the public, and HOK is part of their executive group. This means that we work with them in terms of like what we want out of the tool, how we want visualizations to be, and so on. So it's currently under development. I'll show you its capabilities, and I'll talk a bit more about what's coming up next in Photo 4.
Great. And if you're just joining us, I'm going to ask that you sign into the chat. Please include your name, your email address, and if you didn't register for the event and would like CES credit, include your AIA number. And please pick 3 breakout groups. We've had a quick introduction to groups A, B, C, and D, and I'm going to let Esha explain the last breakout group.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Isha Khanna from Kieran Timberlake here in Philadelphia. I'm a design researcher with a focus on building performance. So for those of you who may not know about Kieran Timberlake's research group, where we have a lot of people from diverse backgrounds and people from environmental management, building performance, building science, etc. And in the past few years, we've really started integrating building performance group into our design process, and we've been using the Ladybug and Honeybee tools to do so. So today I'm going to be talking about that set of tools, what the what some of the opportunities of the tools are, some of the benefits, and then also how we use it in practice a little bit.
Great. So again, if you're just joining, please sign into the chat, include your name, email, and AIA number, and please indicate the 3 breakout groups that you'd like to join. We're going, after our brief introduction, we're going to have 3 different breakout groups so that you can dig in deeper to these tools that are available right now with experts in the field. And it should be a really great opportunity for you to get more oriented with these tools and to ask questions that you've had on your mind. So there are a lot of tools out there. There's a lot of software available to do environmental design analysis, and it can often be a really hard area to navigate. This just shows sort of the overall complexity of the types of analyses that can be run and the tools that can be used to do them, and also a lot of overlaps between the tools. Tools that are plugins for other tools or built based on other platforms, and the relationships between those. But today we're really going to focus on 5 tools that we think have great applicability for early stage design in-house for architecture firms that are all available right now. And some are new to the market, as you just heard, and some have been around for some time. But we picked these tools because they all have a wide range of capabilities. You know, 4 of the 5 can report directly to the DDX with your 2030 challenge results, including Cove Tools, Saphira, Revit, Autodesk Insight, and Climate Studio. That's something that has changed with some of these tools recently, and it's a great benefit. But aside from that, there's a lot of analysis that can be done on operational energy. You can see that daylighting simulation, looking at PV potential, looking at also spatial daylight autonomy, understanding window to wall ratios, and doing early stage shoebox models or comparative or more robust energy models are all opportunities with these tools. And you're going to have a chance to dig into those in the breakout groups. And to understand really some of the key criteria that you might be asking when trying to bring these in-house, I think it's really important to understand what modeling environments these tools work with, so it can be streamlined with your workflow, to understand where these simulations take place, to understand how much they cost, and also how much control you have over the graphics and how much training might be required. So Saphira is the one tool that works directly with SketchUp, and it also works with Revit. Cove Tool and Insight work with Revit, and Cove Tool also works with Rhino. And then Climate Studio and Climate Studio uses Grasshopper, but is sort of a front end to that. And in addition, Grasshopper, Ladybug, and Honeybee all work from Rhino. So they do require that you have a modeling engine already to use these tools. And the simulation for Saphira, Cove Tool, and Insight are all cloud-based, which means there's an expediency to it. Climate Studio still runs on your machine, but they've done a lot to optimize that processing, as you'll hear more about from Blanca. And Grasshopper, Ladybug, and Honeybee run from your machine directly, but there are ways to optimize that processing time. The cost varies across these different tools, but it's not radically different. And also these costs are just sort of for a single license. These definitely vary based on the number that you purchase. And they give you a sense of where they sort of fall in comparison to one another. Insight now comes free with Revit, and the same with Grasshopper, Ladybug, and Honeybee with Rhino. The first 3 all produce graphics through the cloud-based simulation, and you don't have a lot of control over the colors of those, the type of text that might be included in the output, whereas the 2 that really run from Grasshopper give you a lot of flexibility with the way you are reporting your analysis and sharing that. And in terms of skills and training, we would call the first three like quick start software, where someone who has basic modeling skills could really jump into those programs and understand the platform itself within about an hour. Making sure that you have the right knowledge to drive those design studies is something that you can learn from these tools, but it's also helpful to have that complementary knowledge about building performance to help identify the studies that might take place. And then Climate Studio and Grasshopper with Ladybug and Honeybee can require a little bit more sophistication with sort of using the full suite of those opportunities on the previous slide. That might start to require some knowledge of coding, but certainly not required in order to be able to use those tools. It just might become desirable at a certain point. So with that, if you have just joined us, we're going to ask that you sign into the chat, that you include your name, your email, and your AIA number, and that you also identify the 3 breakout groups that you'd like to take part in. One is focused on Sapphira. Breakout group B is on Cove Tool. Breakout group C is on Autodesk Insight and Revit. Breakout group D is Climate Studio. And breakout group E is Grasshopper, Ladybug, and Honeybee. And with that, we're going to be magically transported into our